we will call the meeting to order.
I'll do the minutes real quick, get them out of the way.
I make a motion that we approve the September 16th minutes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the September 16th minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Misty is supposed to come in at 8:45. She said Mike has the agreement with the bank. So,
Got that figured out.
I guess. And then the only other thing is Amy Boxberger and Maurice are coming. So you can get to the field.
Thank you. That's just exactly where I want to go after the last 7 days.
It's a little damp though right now, isn't it? No.
Perfect.
It keeps the dust down. I
Yeah.
tell you what, the fine dust in this is insane. You walk through the field 20 yards in, you can hit your pants in that dust of the fine. There's some moisture down there, but it is powdery on top.
Go to recess until somebody shows up.
Yeah, we'll recess.
I was told yesterday he had the contract, so that's why.
Okay.
Well, I don't have a contract, what it's called a memorandum of agreement between commissioners and the bank, set the property over. So I don't see any problem with it if that's what, and if someone's went and looked at it.
You looked at the property.
Yeah, we
Well,
looked at
Yeah,
the property.
yeah.
Yeah, if someone's looked at the property
Yeah.
and it's what you want,
Yep.
assuming there's no, I expressed the only concern I had is if there was any sort of ground contamination or something like that, that you could be responsible for at some point.
Yeah.
But otherwise, no, it's pretty straightforward.
Are we purchasing it for $1 or?
No, there's
I think it's
donation.
just giving it to you.
Yeah, straight up donate. Donor,
Yeah. Looks all right.
they're gonna write it off on their taxes, so. Just so you know.
What's it appraised at?
It doesn't.
That's it.
Can be too much.
Now, the other thing, they're gonna sign a quitclaim deed, so they're not warranting title. So 5 years from now, someone may show up and say, I own the property. So as long as you understand that they're not warranting title.
When do we for sure take that over, Mike? Because I have to get the utility switched over to our name
Yeah.
when we take it over.
I'd say whenever you sign it,
When the deed is filed or when this is signed?
when the deed's signed.
Yeah,
Filed.
when the deed gets filed is when you take over.
So you have, were we paying utilities on the little area that the ambulance was in? Or were they paying all the
And there's
utilities?
a deed
They
attached.
pay utilities,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, it's not signed.
Until 2022 is what our contract said, because we were looking at building a new building or adding on to the fire station's Hudson at that point.
We need to sign it.
That's when he said, you guys want to take it over? And I was
You
like,
can.
Did the commission
yeah, it's up to
sign?
them.
All of them.
Yeah. We need to make a motion to accept the donation.
That's,
Donation, right?
yeah.
Of the property
That
at,
property.
And lots 9, 10, and block 18.
I make a motion that we accept the donation from St. John National.
Yeah.
Yep, St. John National Bank for lots 9, 10, 18 in the city of Hudson.
Second.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second to accept the donation from the St. John National Banks of lots 9, 10, and 18 in Hudson, Kansas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
awaiting one more contractor bid, but I do have 2 electrical right now. I can bring those in next Wednesday for you guys if you want.
So we just have one bid for the roof so far?
2. Yeah, I've got 2. I'm waiting on another one, or a 3rd.
And you have 2 electrical?
Yes, we have both Meyer and Davis electricals, so. Jesse and Washington Construction. And we tried to get hold of R&R up there in Great Bend, but haven't been able to get them down here, so. If you guys want a 3rd, or you're just bringing in the 2, I'd be done.
Two's fine.
2's fine, okay.
Okay, that's
And then I'll bring them in next Wednesday.
Will they pay for the filing of that? They should.
They should. Yeah, it's $15.
No, it's not. It'll be a lot more than that,
File a deed?
if he wants all that filed with it, because that deed is attached as Exhibit A. So,
Usually deed's $15.
I mean, that's on him, I
All right.
don't.
If he refuses, we better
That's pretty much all I had, so.
pay him. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Can I see any more? Amy Boxberger's coming at 9, Teresa, that's it. Didn't I put you on that?
Anything, Phil?
We'll start pulling that, we're gonna pull that east ditch there by your house, you might wanna know that, but we're gonna
More
get that done
personal
that
nature
way.
than
Yeah. I like pulling up the west one, that's helped that route.
Yeah, that stuff actually packed down and it's a better
And
ride.
it hasn't turned worse for you like the rest of the roads.
No?
Oh,
Is that
this
new
is
dirt
my
up there?
stuff. No, this is my stuff,
Oh, okay.
sorry.
Started to sign.
You say something talking.
No,
Okay.
no, these
Okay,
are-
I'm sorry, I can't hear that well to begin
Yeah.
with, and you put masks on, you don't know who's talking.
How's the Owens going?
Oh, we're getting around the shoulders for the second time, or again, before we get in the bottoms, because it's just, we mowed the shoulders and they looked ragged and they just look terrible. So we'll mow them again on the side, the shoulders again, we'll get them knocked down and then we'll get into the bottoms of the
Pretty
slopes.
big stuff there to mow off. huh?
Yes, there is, I mean, it's gonna pull hard and
Yeah.
I don't see any way that we're gonna be done before Thanksgiving, probably after. And that's about when we usually finish anyway, but I think it'll probably take about another 2 weeks,
Yep.
so.
Mike?
Well,
I'm just gonna let you know, the answer date's come and gone on the tax sale. We're down to 3 properties. I have it on somewhat good authority from 2 different parties that 2 out of the 3 are gonna pay, so we may be down to a single property.
Okay.
Just FYI, again, anticlimactic, come sale day, Rob may just have 1 piece of property to sell.
well, that's encouraging people to pay it off.
So, and they, well, of the 3, like I said, I have good authority, 1 is gonna pay, and then the other one, Mary said, last year, came in literally the day of the sale and paid, and anticipates doing the same, so then we get down to 1, and I think we're still gonna publish, but I think we've got everybody, other than one that we think's gonna pay, I think we've got everybody served and notified, but I think I'm gonna publish just, that way if there's any stray lien holder or something that didn't get notice, we'll just publish on it as well.
Yeah.
But that's where that sale's at, so we're making progress.
Good.
On that note, there's a situation over at Stafford. Property that taxes haven't been paid, 17, 18, and 19.
Okay,
The problem is that the owner passed away on 11/14 of 17. He'd been there about 6 months, I guess.
okay.
No survivor. Car's in the garage, a 1999 Cadillac. his funeral was done courtesy-wise with no charges. He was divorced, but there was no survivor or on the title. So is that a city problem?
Absolutely,
Told you.
Well,
absolutely.
but on the other hand, it's.
Can I say it again? Absolutely.
But as far as county taxes, we still have.
County taxes on the house,
On the property, yes,
the real estate,
the real estate
right?
of 17, 18, and
They'll
19.
be on the tax sale next year.
Yep.
But how can you when there's no,
He has to try to, does it what, the
They'll-
heirs of or whatever.
Yeah, we'll publish, and if nobody comes forward, then it'll be sold,
It'll be sold.
and someone will get a new title.
so it's I presume
Do a
there's.
quiet title after that, right?
I'm just
I
wondering.
mean, they'll get good title from the county at that point.
You're worried about the car.
I'm worried about the car and also the contents in the refrigerator.
Oh, jeez.
That is so far not a county issue, I can't even begin to tell you.
Well, I was asked to ask, so that's it.
So if the car's still there when the people buy it at the tax sale, I
They
guess
get the
everything
car
on the
too?
property goes with it?
So what happens to the
It's
car?
personal property.
They'll have to quiet the title for that, or do a lost title kind of thing.
The people that buy the property.
Yeah, I mean, whoever
So the
comes.
funeral home director could put the claim against.
Yeah, he could put a
Yeah, you
lien
can put a
against it.
mechanics lien against it
Yeah.
right now.
He should.
Probably should do it right now, yeah.
Or two years ago, he should have, yeah, if he wanted
I
to.
mean, if he wants to, but if he's willing to just donate his services,
Which
and if 2 years have
yeah,
passed,
2 years
his
ago.
probably,
He probably could have put a mechanics lien on the
but
house
it's
and
probably
the
too
car.
late now.
Yeah, I don't know.
If 2 years have
Yeah,
passed.
I don't know all the particulars, I was just asking, will that property go up on the
Not
Sure.
the personal property, not the vehicle, just the real estate.
real estate?
Fixtures thereon.
The
The
gals
car
are
is not a fixture thereon.
Amy?
Yeah.
Maybe out there.
Yeah.
Good morning. Hi, Amy. Hi. Are you all?
Are you good? Yep, you're good.
All right, thanks. Okay, well, this morning I'm here to ask for approval to submit our year-end outcomes report. And here for your review. And as you know, or if you might remember, we come around and do our comprehensive plan. I am trying to support the state school of having no more than 25% of our case closures go to prison. And this year, we happen to have made our goal. We were at 19% revocation rate. We had 201 offenders that were discharged from the program. 38 people, or 19%, went to prison, while 163 offenders did not enter the prison system. Last year, we barely missed it by, it was like one
Yeah.
person, if you remember that. And that was kind of, we had half the year was with the Barton County Attorney was new. We also had Judge Hipp took over for Judge Swati. So then it's just been kind of watching the change of dynamics with the stakeholders that really hear the lion's share of our programming. And we also had another change in this year that I think contributed to it was we had an increase of closures based on not having people on forever if they've been continuing to, if they're on supervision and they're compliant other than costs, and this is not restitution, if it's just court costs, then the judges have decided that we'll close those and send those to collections and consider those a successful closure as long as they have complied with everything else. So
When you say not entering the DOC system, are you excluding out people who have to do sanctions, the 60-day?
well, yeah, they haven't been revoked. So those are those are just our sanctions and responses that we try to get them to kind of swing them over to the
Okay, so
good side.
the 19% are people who actually go and serve their sentence.
Correct.
Not just
Correct.
a
Yeah.
60-day or whatever.
Right, yeah, they're still, the people, until they've been officially discharged from our program, they're still just working the
system.
program and working the system, and we're trying to respond, to maintain, because I will tell you, of course, the outcomes are important to the state, they're important to me, but if we have anyone that has a person felony, a gun crime or distribution, we are always asking for revocation. And so we're not going to sacrifice public safety for that. But a lot of our people, when they get new charges, it's possessions, or it's something that, so we're just having to rethink. They're coming on supervision anyway when they get on. So are they really learning anything by going to prison just to come right back out and come on to supervision? If it's something, that they would actually go to prison for, then obviously, we want to take into consideration. But a lot of that stuff, it's just like a positive drug test, well, they were possessing it before they used it. So, it's kind of trying to rethink that and be as responsive as we can to those needs for addiction or mental health issues, and really trying to refer to our local stakeholders for assistance with that. So then just the rest of our goals, really just wanted to revise our policy and procedures so that they were in line with evidence-based principles. We also just wanted to maintain policies with that. Also the only thing I was not able to do, and I'll blame it on COVID, but I don't know if I would have made it without COVID, to be honest. But I've got that this year. But I really wanted to meet individually with our advisory board members, and I just couldn't get it done. And then when COVID happened, it just became very impossible to kind of squeeze that in at the end. But a lot of the majority of our stakeholders on the advisory board have been on for a long time. Shannon Snyder represents Stafford County, and it seems like we always have our meetings on a weekday, but she has logged in or emailed votes when I've needed her to. So, it works out. It's just kind of where we're at. So, anyway, I can't wait till we're meeting in rooms with people and can get all this stuff done. But anyway, otherwise, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about the program or the report. And if not, I'd ask that you approve the submission of this to the Department of Corrections.
How big an area do you have?
We cover Barton, Rice, Ellsworth, Russell, and Stafford counties, the 20th Judicial District.
Okay. You have
You good with the
one advisory member from each county then, or?
No, I have, there's different sectors. For instance, there's there's sheriffs, police, judicial, I think it's, there's education. No, maybe education's my open person. But then there's just, it's kind of sporadic how it was set up. Stafford County, and then we have the city of Rice, and then the city of Great Bend. I think we've got, there's 12. I think we have one open position right now from Lyons. We kind of we need to really work on getting minorities. I think I've talked to you about that before when we were looking for somebody that we're not in compliance with the regulations, so I need to find somebody to serve on that, which has been a little bit difficult, but there's so many mandated that there's just not that option. So, but if you're interested, we always use that.
No, Sounds like you got Stafford County covered.
Did you file your report with the Department of Corrections? Or-
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion that we allow, what is your,
Oh, Central Kansas Community Corrections.
yeah, all right, yes, okay, Central Kansas Community Corrections to file the report, year-end report with the Department of Corrections.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve Central Kansas Community Corrections report to the Kansas Department of Corrections. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you. And then I'll email you when I get everybody's signatures next week. And I did email that warrant to Judge yesterday, so hopefully that's taken care of.
May 3rd.
Thank you.
And I'm not here for an ask, I'm just here to share data with you guys. The data that I reviewed is probably gonna drive, our funding when I come back in 6 months next spring when we look at our budget and whatnot. And so, this report is required now with the juvenile reform. And so we met on September 8th. And at that time, we looked at all of the programs that we have at juvenile services to include our diversion program, our intensive supervised probation, that small population that we have in correctional facility settings, as well as we also needed to get the numbers from court services. And so when we look at those numbers, that's on page 2. Juvenile services currently has a total of 48 youth to include all of those programs. We only have 2 that are in an out-of-home placement, and those are youth that are requiring like psychiatric placement and or group home setting. So that's, I mean, that was the whole intention of the reform, is to bring that number down. And then over there is court services is at 3. And this was from data taken on June 30th of 2020. They were very specific of what we had on at that time. So the next page then looks at the crossover data, and that was in our state block grant last year that they asked if we were tracking it. And I was not tracking it last year, but I have since started. And so at the time of this report, we did not have anybody because we were waiting for the state to make the definition of who was a crossover youth. Was it a youth that was defined as a juvenile offender crossing over into the child welfare because they didn't have a home, or child welfare crossing over into the offender because of XYZ? So we have those definitions now, and we are tracking that data. And hopefully that's an opportunity for our district to look at some funds going forward of how we address that in our district. So that next page just looks a little bit at the risk level of youth that we are supervising. So we have 23 that are considered low risk, and those are most of our diversion youth, which is where they should be. And then for those that are on the intensive supervised probation, we're at about 23, and that's at moderate to high risk. And again, trying to keep that youth, that population of youth in our communities. So here's the part where the data starts driving then what we're going to do and what to look for programming and whatnot. So of all those 46, 48 youth that we have in our district, what do they have access to? And what are the barriers then that might prohibit them from having access to it? So even though you have education on there, it says high school education and/or GED to include tutoring. Well, for GED, for most of the catchment, they have to go to Great Bend. So then that brings a barrier to transportation. And so that's something that I'll be looking at to increase our funding for transportation to help meet that need for youth going forward. The next one is that vocational employment and job skills. Again, the hindrance there is, again, location. Which county is that offered, and is that consistent and fair across the entire district? And that's not always the case. So back to transportation and or language barriers that don't allow all of our youth and families access to those services. The other 2 that I'm really going to focus on for this next year is going to be the mentoring. And I mentioned that then on that last page. I had done my research last year to look at mentoring for the youth that we serve. But then, you know, unfortunately, being in a pandemic, it was very hard to picture how that was gonna look. You know, when you go to a state of a lockdown and you can't even see our youth and clients that we're currently serving, then how are you gonna say, yeah, we'll serve 12 youth in a face-to-face setting when that's not gonna happen? And so that's something I still wanna look forward to for next spring's budget. And the other thing that came out of our data is then that educational element for our youth. So the questions when you look at the risk factors for youth, that includes, are there behaviors within the school setting? Are there behaviors with peers? Are there behaviors with teachers? Do they like school? Are they passing school? You know, are they actually attending? And when we looked at the data, our data showed us that education is one of the top 3 areas of concern. I know that all of our schools in our district are doing their best to keep our students in the school setting because they know that that's best practice. And so I'm reaching out to all of the districts to get discipline report. You know, are the disciplines increasing? Are they decreasing? Are suspensions increasing or decreasing? And is it across the board of the population that you thought it would be, or is it the regular people that, oh no, we expected this from this youth, you know? And so that's something that I want to look at, and, you know, is there any way that we can look at that in consideration with potential funding going forward? So, a lot of information, a lot of data, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know. Like I said, this data would just drive us for what we decide to do for data-driven decisions in the spring. So, but I just wanted to share that, take the opportunity and share that with you guys.
So why is the GED only available in grade 10?
Right now, for our kids in Rice and even in Stafford, they'll come down to Great Bend and take it through the college. The Barton County College has that right there at 10th and Main. So, I don't know.
The Learning Center's here.
In Stafford, they offer GED as well as high school?
It's just the high school equivalent.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
There's another, I mean, it's an option, you know,
Yeah.
not to jump in.
No,
I
you're
just
good.
because we work with SDAC, with, you know, the core communities and all that stuff, so.
And then with that though, they have to be sponsored by the school, and if they've been expelled from the school, then
Right.
the school's not gonna
Oh, okay.
sponsor them.
Yeah, that's the
You know,
barrier,
so-
yeah.
So there's that component that makes it a challenge.
I'm always in the adult land, so I don't have to deal with that, you know.
They're not getting expelled.
They're not getting expelled.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what hurts it. If it's an expulsion or a long-term suspension, then you still have to have that high school sponsoring them to get that. And if they're not gonna sponsor it because they've been expelled from that school setting, then,
Okay.
It still doesn't,
now I know.
not my world. I'll stick with prison.
Stick with what you know. So, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Is there any other questions or comments?
Good job.
Yeah, if you think of something, you know, please reach out to me. Like I said, this is gonna drive our report for spring, so. Thank you, guys.
Amy, I still remember when you brought that individual down several years ago, that was still
I need to do that
a
again.
lasting impression.
Yeah, I will do that again. We, in Barton County, we started a resilience group called Rise Up, and we had them present, it's National Recovery Month in September, so they presented that. And because when I do my outcomes is when I typically have some of those, you know, success stories, and I think I got focused on that, but I agree, I need to bring somebody in again. And it helps to understand,
I
because
do,
it is,
yeah.
when you know the people, you know, I mean, especially small town, you know their background, you know where they came from, and then when you don't get to celebrate when somebody's doing well because you just don't hear it.
Yeah,
You only
you hear the
hear
bad
the
stuff,
negative,
yeah.
exactly. So, and then I don't really have a good concept of time, so I don't know if anyone else is like that, but I could see somebody that's like, I could have read something about them 5 years ago and thought it was, 6 months ago.
Right, right.
So, I will do that, so, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Is that right?
Yeah, I looked.
Thank you.
It's all data driven.
At least put it in your file.
No vouchers, no nothing?
Next week. Payroll and vouchers.
Anything else?
Nope.
Mike, anything else?
No, sir.
We will adjourn.